Yeah, I want to open this one with a similar activity that we did last round because I think it's effective in illustrating or perhaps making clear to you which of the two-headed dragon between shame and social anxiety is most relevant for you. So for those for those who weren't here, or just a reminder of what we did last week I had everyone basically find something within arm's reach and talk about it as if they were the world's foremost expert on the thing. That was good fun. That was good fun. That's a good practice, I think, to return to as a kind of litmus test on just general comfort levels. Um, today, today we're going to do a similar format, kind of 2-minute timed sessions, but the content of what we're going to talk about is different. It's not going to be an object. It's going to be you. I just want you to talk about yourself for 2 minutes. I don't actually want to constrain the content of what you need to say about yourself much more than that. I think if I was making a recommendation on stuff to talk about, I think if you really want to go for just like straight up top tier, just for 2 minutes, talk about how fucking amazing you are. I think that would be the move. If that feels difficult, or maybe you feel like you can't fill 2 minutes, talking about something you're interested in or care about, or something that has caught your attention recently, I think those are a nice like approachable step to getting there. But yeah, I think as a kind of litmus test or standard, um, yeah, what is awesome about you? What is awesome about you for 2 minutes? Um, I don't really feel called to start. I kind of want to float it. Is there anyone who feels like picking up the gauntlet and doing 2 minutes to start? Jay Scott, always. All right, let me get my clock out here. And yeah, I mean, just like last time. So I will start the timer once you start talking, and I will kind of raise my hand, put an emoji up when 2 minutes has passed. And again, maybe just a final contextual note here. The invitations here are, if you can, track how your body feels. Ever since I brought up this exercise a couple seconds ago, to your own share too afterwards, like really just see, yeah, what comes up, how you feel, if you can label any feelings to emotions. And again, a lot of stuff doesn't. We're not looking for the best speech ever here. Um, I think just, yeah, as much of a fluid stream of consciousness as you can get. Um, and yeah, don't sell yourself short. If there's anything you really think is fucking awesome, share that. All right, I think that's enough on my end. Yeah, Jay Scott, you have the floor whenever you're ready.
Right. I think part of why I'm awesome is because I am a bit of an overachiever, and I like to put myself in uncomfortable situations to to improve myself. Hence why I volunteered first. Hence why I always try to volunteer first. Um, I I am kind. Um, I have a lot of love for everyone, and I am very meticulous. I have a high attention to detail, and I think I am good at carrying that through in a lot of different fields. Kind of a universal positive trait that I feel like I have. I have done a lot of work to become more aware of how I communicate, um, I try my best to use the most effective language to get my point across. I am fairly open-minded, or I try to be. I think I make people smile. I think I make people comfortable, and I'm very patient. And
Yeah, bravo. And again, would love for people to kind of save a snapshot of how they feel, how they think that went. Because once we've done a circle, we'll open up space for commentary. I mean, we're gonna do everyone. So Jesse, I think we could just popcorn after you. You kind of broke the ice there. And yeah, again, when you're ready, just start talking and I'll time it.
you're going next.
Bro, how the tables have turned. Holy crap. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. That was a good call. Yeah, normally host ends up going first or last. That seems to be common. So we're breaking it. Already noticed that I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say instead of just starting. Damn. Damn. All right. I'm just gonna start going. All right. Awesome. I am actually incredible, top tier of humanity at making people feel good around me. I think I have a field of unconditional love and acceptance that I try to give people because I mean, I don't know. I've lived periods myself of just not feeling comfortable with people, not feeling appreciated. And I know very viscerally what that feels like. And so I've cultivated don't quite want to call it a skill set, but a way of being that is like a warm hug for people. And I think I do it really fucking well. I think I do it really well. One of the other things I'm fantastic at is taking highly complex ideas and putting them into something that is like plain English. Um, yeah, it's something I think is very helpful, and I think it's something I also do really well. Um, I have an uncanny ability to keep going, persistence or endurance or durability. I don't really know what the best word for that is, but yeah, remarkably capable of doing things over time. Sometimes that's bit me in the ass, kind of hanging on to things a little longer past their expiration date. But at the end of the day, I think it's done more good for me than it has done harm. Um, yeah, personally, I really like at least the attempt, and I think I think I've done a good job in my past of fusing, what you call it? I guess traditional science and perhaps the more esoteric sciences. Trying to find a middle ground balance between them has not been easy, but been walking the line of that for some time, and I think I'm getting better and better at articulating it, fusing experiences together around them, and yeah, actually walking people through that as a group. Time. That is still surprising. It is. I'm not going to comment on it. I'll save my comment for after. Uh, Sarah.
Thanks, Eric. Okay, I am awesome as well. Just like Jesse and Eric, I'm incredible. I think you guys had a lot of good points, so I'm going to try not to repeat them. But I think one of the things that makes me so amazing is the fact that I know I'm not always that amazing. I'm really good, I think, at being aware of where I can improve. And it's something that I'm working really hard on trying to like fill those gaps at the moment. So identifying weaknesses and then trying to do something about it to make myself better. And I think that's what makes me so brilliant. I think a lot of people maybe would have the same weaknesses, but might not know that they have them, might not do anything about it. And there's lots of things that I can improve on, but I'm really happy with that. That's fine. That's a good place to be. If I just thought I was awesome and I didn't think I had anything to improve on, maybe I wouldn't be as awesome as I am. So I think it's a really excellent part of me. I have many skills. I'm quite happy to try new things, have a go. I might not be the best at them straight away, but I will get stuck in. Quite like having a go on my own, being independent, learning new things, and just giving it my best go. I think I'm fairly good at multitasking. So something that maybe I could be aware of and maybe sometimes not do all the time, but I think I am good at it when I deploy that skill. And also, I would say I'm really good at cleaning, putting the vacuum around. I'm really good at that sort of thing. I'm really good at, yes, finishing on time. Thank you, Eric. And I'm going to popcorn over to Darius.
Thank you. Yeah, find this quite difficult. So I guess we'll see what happens. So I guess yeah, I find it is great to be among so many amazing people. I have to include myself in there, so that's why I said that first. I feel that there are some things about me that are worth mentioning. Some such as, I think, like some things that come to mind. I consider myself a pretty creative person, with some of the different ways that I approach things or go about things. Like, I've always been very interested in and curious about learning about things and how they work and how they're connected. And sometimes it's fun to explore that from a very first person perspective, as far as like doing art, and trying to do that in different mediums. So like I've always, when I was younger, I used to do a lot of drawing, which isn't something I do so much now, but it was a way that I would interact with things. Just like taking note of the scenery even, and then kind of naturally kind of transitioning into like photography, which kind of really would let me just be around and just see how things sometimes show up in unexpected ways. And it's like, oh, that's a good photo. It's also a fun thing to be involved with. And then like I feel like I've been able to translate that into like, I guess, having jobs and like networking, which I feel like is something I can be good at when I'm not feeling super anxious. Like, especially like with photography, I did like pro bono work with like communities that I was involved with, and then that helped me just meet different people. And like I ended up getting one of my technology jobs at an event I was doing photography for. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, thank you. I will popcorn it to Chloe.
Okay, I wasn't positive if that was a Chloe or not. Okay. All right. I already feel horrible right now. All right, I'm awesome because I can admit when I don't feel great. Let's start there. I think I'm pretty in touch with how I feel, and I'm also have become, which I'm proud of, very open with just sharing how I feel and what I think and being vulnerable. So definitely start there. I think that's pretty cool about me. Yeah, cool with being vulnerable, being open. I think I'm very good at asking questions. It's one of my favorite things to do. I think I find really good questions to make people talk, open up, and even say things that maybe they didn't want to, which is really fun. Love asking questions. What else? Yeah, I think I'm cool because I'm very adaptable. I have made radical life changes throughout my 3 decades on this earth that have proved that I'm not stuck in my ways, nor do I cling too tightly to limiting beliefs. I mean, I've gone from growing up in like a cult-ish religion to saying no to all religion to uprooting my life and moving to a new country to starting up a business in said country and staying here for several years. So I think that has proved my adaptability as well as like resilience. Like, yeah, I think people notice about me that like, yeah, you can put me in any situation, like put me in a box in the ground and like I will make it work. Like I can make do with whatever I have or don't have, which can be good and also can be negative because then you get comfortable with not having comforts. What else? I don't know. I consider myself very independent, like doing things for myself, good at taking care of other people. I've often been in like the mother caretaker role. And yeah, love punctuality also. So boom. We'll pass it to who's left? We'll pass it to Ronan again. Yeah, let's go.
I am amazing because I have had and continue to have the courage to pursue an unconventional life that is in line with what my heart wants rather than what society tells me to do. And another thing which makes me amazing is my dedication to being the best version of myself I can be. No, I'm all right, mate. And yeah, go on then. And also, what was I saying? Yeah, a commitment to self-development in kind of more surface level things, but also self-reflection and an honesty with myself to seek and accept feedback when it shows me things I don't like. So yeah, to do my best to have integrity, essentially. And I'm also very creative. I make cool music and I'm a good writer, and I just find the creative act very natural. Thank you. I'll pass it to Race.
Okay. I'm amazing because what? I'm amazing. That's it really. I do lots of cool stuff. I try to have as many experiences every day. I try to I do things that make me uncomfortable. I'm trying to grow. and I'm never really satisfied with where I've got. Always trying to improve myself, always doing things like this to try and get better and be the best kind of version of myself I can be. I'm amazing because when I do learn stuff or discover stuff, I always try and share it with my friends and family and try to share the knowledge and wisdom, whatever that I've got. I always am very much, yeah, trying to build up those around me and not just try and just build myself up and lord over them like some kind of, I don't know, whatever. I am amazing because I try to live life to the fullest, and I make people laugh. I am also very creative. I make all right, pretty good music. It's pretty good. I would say I'm probably the greatest actor in my neighborhood, at least. Um, and I'm a good leader. I'm very good at building a team of people that will work well together. I understand. Oh,
Yeah, round of applause to everyone there. That is always something fun. Uh, I wrote a few comments that I'll share both about me and everyone here, but I mean, anyone want to kick off with? I mean, I think if someone shares, they should definitely start with how that experience was for you, but I'm also interested to hear if anyone has commentary on any of the other shares, anything you caught generally about the group. But yeah, start with your own experience and then grow outwards.
yeah. I noticed that firstly, like, yeah, there was like when you announced it, because I was kind of thinking, I think I would have been a lot more comfortable if it was the object thing again. I was actually hoping you did that. I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then you said talk about yourself. I was like, oh. And then you said talk about how amazing you are. I was like, oh, like quite uncomfortable in my, I don't know what you call this, like in between your chest. I don't know what the medical term for that is. Yeah, like kind of like solar plexus. Yeah, exactly, Ronan. The solar plexus, like quite tight in the solar plexus. And then it kind of sunk down to my stomach. And yeah, it kind of uncomfortability about, because yeah, I was probably was thinking I'll just do something you're interested in, but then I was like, let me do the thing that's going to be uncomfortable and talk about how amazing I am. And I think it's I found it very interesting. This is kind of like, this is very much what kind of difficult conversation that I was having with last Sunday that I briefly mentioned in my at the beginning of this thing was about, of like, yeah, I don't know, I think I have it in my head that I should like, you know, be like very humble and not try to like, yeah. And that's kind of where I think the whole that I kind of shameless comes from. I think naturally, like, I do think I'm quite amazing. I did, like, maybe too much. And then so because of that, I've kind of like tried to, it's a sense of like, I know that, but I don't want to tell people that because I don't want to come across as a dickhead. So I was kind of like anxious to actually say these things out loud, which I do actually believe that there's like an embarrassment of saying it. But then when I actually started saying it, like, it was fine, to be honest with you. The anxiety was there. And I think that's very much, you know, that's what anxiety is, right? It's like, it's the anticipatory, because like leading up to it, like to that last moment, like it was there. And as soon as I actually like got into the flow of talking, like it disappeared. And yeah, that's all I have to say. In terms of everyone else's, I think it was, I I did notice a lot of things that were similar. And then I think it was Sarah that was like, I noticed something similar, so I'm not gonna try not to say it. I was like, oh god. And that kind of gave me a bit of anxiety. I was like, okay, now I need to not say things that anyone else says, but and I was like, fuck it, it's the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah. Anyway, so that was my thoughts.
Yeah, I got a few comments on that too, but yeah, anyone else want to chime in? How the experience was for you or others? Yeah, Jesse.
I definitely noticed like immediately from when you said what we were doing to like when my time was up, just my heart was like racing. And I felt like whenever I start like when I'm put on the spot and I start speaking, I feel like I lose control of like my voice and I feel like it starts shaking. And I don't know if it's all in my head or if anyone else ever even notices it, but just being aware of it like makes it even worse. But that was like the physical sensation and it was getting like really warm. But like mentally, I have my partner here beside me, and I was like nervous about the fact that I just start talking about how amazing I am with no context. Like he has no idea why I'm doing this. I'm like, this is weird. So that was weird. And then I noticed like my thoughts. I remember during the ascent we did an exercise about shadow values where you like talk about negative values and then other people try to like tell you what is good about them. But I felt like trying to talk about all of the positive stuff, automatically my mind was like also thinking about the stuff that is not amazing about me and like wanting to supplement with that. And it's like so easy to see the flaws in my positive traits, whereas on the other side it's hard to see the positives in my negative traits. So that's kind of what came to mind for me.
Yeah, the thing I think I found most difficult is that, yeah, I think it's obviously especially a British thing, right, to be like very humble, but it's all like false, like so many false things about British society, like false politeness, false friendliness, false humility, and it's not all bad, but that is definitely the case. Yeah, so there was that tension, and also like the fear, I guess, is probably similar to race. Like in loads of ways, I do think I'm amazing and like special, and it was like, oh fuck, like how can I like convey this in a way that's like humble and doesn't make me look like a narcissist? And again, it was this like idea of like revealing the like terribly ugly truth underneath, and I like noticed that there were certain things that are like appropriate to, I was choosing that I was like feel like this is a kind of almost like a humble brag kind of thing, like I'm so committed to bettering myself kind of thing, like that's what I led with. And because it's kind of like you can be safe in that because it's like I'm aware. Yeah, I don't know, that's I like chose that because there were certain things I could have chosen which would have been more like achievement based, right? Like check out this thing I did. But I was like, don't say that because you'll sound like a dick. But I am really proud of it. But I was like, I won't say that. I'll say like maybe the slightly more nuanced stuff. Yeah, so it definitely links so closely into shame because it's like revealing the hidden arrogance or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I felt that too. I have a lot to go off of that as well because I felt, yeah, that same thing. So it's like, yeah, I feel good about myself. Like I like the things I like about me. I'm proud of them. And two things super similar to what Rowan says. One is I felt a need to show like self-awareness of like, yeah, I know all these things are great, but also I know the other side of them too. So let me tell you, like, I need to let you know that I'm aware that I'm not perfect. Like this is good, but there's also this other side. So let me make sure you know that I'm aware of who I am. Of like, it's like almost, I guess, like justification territory, right? Of like, yeah, this is super cool, but I know the other side of it. So don't find it like I've already found it before you could find it. And I'm going to tell you about it first. It's like, chill the fuck out. No one cares. Like, we're not even talking about that. The prompt was why you're amazing, not, oh, but asterisk A, B, and C. Like, doesn't matter. So yeah, super funny. Like, yeah, I gotta show myself the words first. Okay. Um, and then yeah, the humble thing of like, oh, I want to share this, but like, yeah, I don't want to sound like I think I'm too cool. It's like, why not? And so as I guess, I don't know when, but in between the sharing, I was kind of thinking about that, like the humility thing, the yeah, why? And this is like my universal question that I've probably mentioned like in every one of these calls, but it's the whole like, okay, are you acting out of love or fear? Like, what's the intention behind it? And if the intention is right, like, oh yeah, I'm the fucking shit, you better know it. Like, you're acting out of some level of fear that people won't accept you, right? Something like that. But and again, intentions are super hard to pin down anyway because they're so like murky. But the way I was thinking about it is like, yeah, why don't I feel more embarrassed about sharing? Or like, why, like, where is it coming from? And I think, again, I don't want to sound like a narcissist saying this, but like when I share about myself, like I think it's from a place of love. Like, yeah, I've done this awesome shit. So can you. Like, want to know more about it? Maybe it'll help you. Are you trying to do something like this? Cool, let's talk about it. Like, coming from a place of loving, like sharing, like, yeah, I'm proud of a lot of shit I've done, things I've accomplished. I've worked hard to be the person I am. Like, of course, I think that's great. And why wouldn't, like, what's the point of doing self work and becoming a great person if you don't want to share it with other people? That just seems silly. So that's kind of where I landed. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, we've all been on this planet for, you know, a handful of decades. We've all done some level of self work, which is why we're in this call. Like, what's the point of doing it if you're not going to share it with other people? You're just going to sit in your room and tell yourself about it. Like, just makes sense to share it from a place of love and growth. And like, yeah, you should do this too. It's super cool. So that's where I landed with that.
I'll jump in then if that's all right. So just in terms of like how the experience was, I think probably going to repeat some things that other people have said, but I made a bit of a note of the symptoms, shall we say, as we were going along. So I noticed like I was sweating, like I noticed started sweating, but then at one point I also felt really cold. So it's like like really tight stomach. I was shaking at one point, like mildly shaking. My heart was going, just like a general nervousness. Same as Jessie, like I could feel my voice going, like, and I felt like I could hear my voice going. And then just halfway through, I think, maybe before that, just started talking rubbish, like no idea what I said in terms of, I just remember saying vacuuming. I was like, why am I talking about this? I just had no concept and just kind of just was rambling. And then it wasn't till afterwards, probably like halfway through Darius's, I noticed like I was starting then to kind of calm, like my heart rate was kind of coming back to normal and things. I was like, okay, I'm safe again now. And that's cool. And I think also like what like Ronan said, again, I didn't realize until he said it actually, but I think I was choosing what I was saying quite carefully without really being conscious of that. So maybe, yeah, trying to pick things that I felt were appropriate, relevant, maybe a bit of like mild humor deflection as well, sort of trying to put in a bit of like, you know, yeah, kind of deflecting it away from actually really talking about myself, even though I was talking about myself. And in terms of other people's, might not be a true reflection of how people felt possibly, but I felt comparatively everybody else seemed quite calm, like didn't particularly notice those things going on with other people, didn't notice like the voice going or anything. Felt like everyone seemed quite composed and spoke about like good topics, like they kind of had a little bit of a think and kind of chose something that was really important about themselves. So yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, these are so good. Damn, damn. There are a few things that come up. Um, the first question that I think, and I mean, again, almost all these questions you could take and make them an entire like homework assignment, but one of the first questions is like, I guess it's two part. Was this or would this be harder for you than talking about the object from last week? And if so, why? Like, because I think on a basic level, like it really it should actually kind of be easier if you're again going back to the kind of like world expert authority on like a spoon versus yourself. Like you actually know a lot more about yourself than you do about the origins of fucking spoons. Like no one has any idea. But in execution, I think it's often a lot easier to do the object than it is yourself. And just, I mean, you can pull that thread as to why that is true, if it is true for you for a long time. Why is it easier to talk about an object? Um, I want to underscore the humility thing. This one is super huge because one of the distinctions that like I don't think anyone spoke to here yet was like the thing about the humility thing outside of other social interactions is that you were actually specifically invited in a container to talk about how fucking amazing you are. Like literally that was the exact thing we wanted from you, and yet there's still this almost reflexive behavior of like, actually, let me put myself in a smaller box first so that we're all like cool here. And like, I don't need to like take up. It's like, yo, bro, no, that's like the exact opposite of what we were asking. You were specifically invited. And just like how deep that reflex is of like, actually, before you guys can say anything or I step on any toes, like I'm actually going to make the assumption that I know how to like what size I need to be. And I'm going to put myself in this box and I'm not going to talk about stuff outside of that. That humility thing is super sneaky. I use sneaky a lot in work like this because it's like, holy fuck. Like I was specifically asked to be as big as possible. And I still am like actively wrestling against that. It's crazy because it's dramatically different. You didn't just walk up to a random circle of people on the street and start, waxing poetic about your virtues. Like you're literally invited in this context to be as awesome as possible. And I think that's a big one. I noticed this in myself. I've noticed this, and I think in one or two other people as well. A almost defense mechanism to make the exercise like ridiculous. Like, I am, of course, the fucking greatest person in the world because of all these things. And immediately you're in this kind of like jest, like act. And it's like, yo, bro, no, like they're legitimately awesome things about you. And you could talk about them just as factual as like, yeah, my sweater is gray. I'm really nice to people. I create welcoming environments. Like, yeah, there's a defensiveness in humor. Yeah, I think there's another interesting homework exercise around tracing the connections to your culture. Because I mean, I was born and raised in Canada, and Canada has the classic, like, sorry for my existence, like trope about it, which is like deeply ingrained in people. Like, yeah, there's some examples that it's always fun meeting international people because telling them examples of like, what's a good stupid example of Canadian sorry? It's like, when you hold a door for a person and they have to do like the awkward run if they're a few steps away, like actually apologizing for making the person doing the awkward run because you were trying to be nice and hold the door. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff you may have imported from your culture. Yeah. Oh, Ronan, you had a comment around I think the humility stuff.
Yeah. So, well, more just around this idea that we were invited to kind of, what is it, like eulogize our good qualities, but the problem was, it's like, fine, I can do that, but depending on what I pick, it will reveal what I value. Like, it's like, oh, I think this thing is sick, right? And it's like that I'm not going to say it because we're out of the thing. We don't need to say, I did achievement X, and it's like, and I'm like, yeah, that's sick. And you're like, right, so this person obviously really cares about what people think, and that's why they did this thing. Or like, because it was like the whole question for me was like, why have I done these things? Is it just to have a collection of cool shit to display? And I was like, that's rubbish. Like, don't reveal that if that's what it is. So yeah, whilst the invitation was there was a range that you could express within. Yeah, and I think, yeah, to repeat the last point, I think the question for me was like, are these pursuits just little ego badges, or are they something awesome about who I am on some more fundamental level as a person? So that was the like scary thing.
Yeah, completely. And this is like, I think these are related. It might be actually kind of a personality level distinction, but it's kind of two parts, like just literally just one random question, 2-minute time cap. It sparks largely one of two things in people. It might do both. They're largely related. On one hand, creates this huge, like immediate mental maze where you're trying to figure out like 18 different things all at the same time, where it's like, which am I going to say? What does this say about me if I say it? How am I going to say it? So I don't, like, you get the whole like crazy labyrinth. Or you can either get one or the other or both, or you actually have a very visceral bodily response of like, something is now not safe. Although literally not a single thing in the fucking world has shifted. Like, you're in the same spot, same people there, but all of a sudden your body's like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? Like, yeah. For me, mostly now, I think I've gravitated towards my head a bit more. It used to live in my body a lot. It actually kind of depends on the circumstance. I have both head and body, and I don't think there's actually much of a distinction. I think one causes the other, and they kind of feed on each other. You get the classic like public speaking panic loop where your body is tight and then you get in your head and then that makes your body tighter and then you're just there frozen like, I can't do this. And again, all you really need to do is like take a deep breath, do the body thing and start talking, just get out of your head. And but yeah, it's so I think sometimes we almost want it to be more complicated than that. It's just like, yo, bro, you're safe. It's not a reflection of you. Like, let's go, one foot in front of the other. Yeah, I have a bit more to say on that, but I want to pull in Darius and also just say, Sam, very good to see you, man. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Great to have me.
Yes, so I just thought to add, yeah, like there is a lot coming up for me about this for sure, that I'm feeling both in my head and my body. There's like a sense of, I would describe this as a familiar feeling of cringe, where it's like seeing the emotion that's on someone else's face, and you're like, that's me right now. And kind of just like feeling into that sense, and answering the question kind of reminded me, it like brought me back to like go, and this is just what comes up for me. There's a little bit of like shame about shame here for me, I'm finding. Like there's already something I'm already shameful of and I don't want to like bring it up, but like it brought me back to like going to like a new school, and then every time you like go to a new school or a new class, they ask you to introduce yourself, and it brought me back to like that moment many times where I did that in the past, and it's just this weird feeling, I guess, that maybe I'm finding I haven't necessarily grown towards maybe self-acceptance of. There's a lot of thoughts going on there, but yeah, it is also interesting to hear people talk, to mention, to kind of see what things they're comfortable talking about as well. Like there is kind of an implicit familiarity with what you pick out, that you're going to necessarily pick something that makes sense to you. And I guess it's just interesting to see what type of things people pick out, because I know a lot of some of the examples people mentioned were pretty salient, as far as like the inner dialogue, like what am I revealing about myself? That was like the shame about shame. That's where I see that kind of come up, where there's an inner dialogue, like, well, I feel this. If I say it, like other people are gonna feel it, or they're gonna see it, or they're gonna know I'm feeling something, and for some reason that's like a sticky point for me. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to comment on that. That was some of the things I noticed for myself, and it was helpful just having the dialogue about it.
Yeah, brilliant, man. Yeah, want to bounce off of that. One of the things I think was shared by two people that I think really needs to, nothing needs to happen. It would be significantly helpful, I think, for a lot of people if this settled in really deeply, which is it is way too easy to think that everyone else is cool, calm, and collected, and you're the only one freaking the fuck out. It's the reality is almost the exact opposite. Like everyone is freaking the fuck out, acting like no one else is freaking the fuck out. Because one of the things that'll actually happen is as this like mind body loop thing starts happening where you're fueling the feelings in your body and that's fueling how you're thinking, like one of the things you'll do is you'll just constrict and constrict and constrict more, where you're speaking very clearly, very either slow or fast, your body's not moving a whole lot, and people actually read into that as if you're somehow composed, but it's actually a constriction because you're freaking the fuck out. Actually, if you were really chill, like you'd be moving around more, you're more expressive, your hands would fly the fuck around and shit. Like that's a big one. Just you kind of fool yourself into thinking that, yeah, you're somehow the alien odd one out. And it's like, actually, no, man, everyone's going through the same thing. Yeah, some people may have like worked on it a bit more, but it's nothing necessarily unique about their DNA. They've just, done some work on this, kind of shook it out of their system. Yeah, so that composure piece, is really, really big. And I think there's something too of we brought this up last week, 2 weeks ago, of like you can kind of pop the bubble on this whole thing by actually just like breaking the fourth wall and speaking to it directly, where it's like, oh dude, I'm super anxious right now. Like, damn, do you feel that too? Like you can actually get some good ground cover just by human acknowledgements like that. Yeah, and one other thing on Darius's comment there, it's actually one of the things that has really changed and significantly, I think, improved the kind of work I do and just conversations and facilitation and pointing stuff out for people, which is, yeah, literally at any given moment, you could act basically however the fuck you want, right? No one is compelling you. Like someone right here could like stand the fuck up and just like leave. Like you could start talking in French, like you could literally do whatever the fuck you want. And yeah, this is why speaking and language is so helpful. Like it is really powerful to watch how people collapse the literally anything they could do into this is specifically what I'm saying to you now. Like maybe it's a long convoluted way of saying, yeah, if you actually track people's wording, both the content of what they choose to say and how they say it, like there's a huge difference. There's a world of difference between, yeah, it was a bad day and my day was shit. And if you just like loop that back and like mirror it to someone's like, yo, your day was fucking shit, really? They'll be like, maybe it wasn't that bad. It's like, yeah, but you just said it was that bad, bro. Like, and then you're now on this like depth tangent. Like, yeah, that was harsh wording. Yeah, and watching the stuff, like I noticed the few people on this call who I would peg as mentally dominant or often like in their mind often commented in their share of like, yeah, the stuff I appreciate about myself is ideas and how I think. And similarly, there's a group I think that was focused on how they'd like to be perceived. So they took character traits that they think were desirable. Yeah, I'm super nice. I make people feel really comfy, right? So yeah, there's a lot of beautiful insight you can gain from that. Maybe a last comment on this like mini rant, two last comments. One, I want to flag something super important that I think Race was the only one who actually did, which was starting it off just by saying, I don't really need a reason. I'm just fucking awesome. Like, that's a huge point. It's like, yeah, this was not an exercise in justifying necessarily. You didn't have to prove it. You could just be like, yeah, bro, I'm fucking awesome. Like, what do you want? I'm the only one of me that exists. Nature created me. It clearly fucking wanted me here. I'm fucking awesome. Period. Like, just like mic drop and sit there like staring at the camera for the next minute. Just like, bruh. I mean, yeah, I caught that. So I mean, a shout out for doing that. And just a huge recognition of like, yo, bro, you actually don't even need reasons why you're awesome. There are reasons why you are awesome. You just don't need reasons to be awesome. That's a big one. I think Ronan was pointing that too with some of the accomplishment stuff. It's like, yeah, I mean, you've definitely accomplished awesome things. The things you've accomplished aren't necessary to make you awesome. You're just fucking great. And again, you can do an entire piece of homework on that. Like, do you agree with that statement or not? If so, why or why not? Because like, oh yeah, you're just awesome. Don't need trophy wall behind you to prove that. I thought there was something else. Oh yeah. Curious if anyone has comments around this last part of the shame thing. Like, to me, there's a seed of shame that is basically just like, for some it ties into the justifying thing, but it's just like, for me, it's always been a root of like, yeah, I just don't fucking deserve to be here. Whatever you mean by here, like in this conversation, like talking with people, like born into the time and history and culture and country you were born into, the fact that you fucking exist, period. It's just like, there seems to just be this like, I don't know, unspoken like agreement you've made that's just like, yeah, I kind of got to prove my worth for this because I haven't yet. But it's like, I don't know, you didn't earn being born, bro. And again, this gets into somewhat like kind of religious baggage. Like, yeah, depending on the culture and perhaps the family religion you were born into, this gets convoluted. But I mean, yeah, curious to hear some comments because there is something. This is how it's always been for me. It's just like, yeah, like, I don't know, I haven't proven my right to be here yet. It's like, wait, like, when the fuck did you need to do that? Like, who specifically told you that you needed to do that? Because now you've internalized. This is what I meant of like putting yourself in the box thing earlier, where it was like, it's now a habitual response of like, okay, like I'm doing things right, I'm collecting things, so that now I know that I fucking earned the right to be here, and everyone can start acting like that too. And it's like, yo, bro, this whole like gambit, this whole like move sequence was just not required because you were not being tested because you had nothing to prove. You already won the thing. You were born. Like, literally, the force of nature, God, reality, whatever the fuck you want to use for that, elected, wanted, also whatever word you want to use for that, you to fucking exist. Like, you did it. You are the creation already. Yeah. So we got we got a bunch of hands off that. So let's go. Yeah, Race.
Yeah, so I think during this I kind of noticed, I'm not sure if it is shame, but it's speaking to me as the shame, which is part of this whole thing. And I'm saying the difference for me maybe is the social anxiety is the lead up, and the shame is kind of what's happening in the moment. And two things pointed out to me, one in this and then one just in general. The general one is that, like, when I'm in a situation talking to someone and then I don't know what to say, which is really the big thing, which is always like where all the social anxiety comes from, is like, I'm going to get into this conversation, I'm not going to know what to say. I think that's where the shame comes in. And I think it's partly because, like, there's so many times where I'm the complete opposite. So it's like, it's shame that I'm almost not living up to my own expectations. And then what popped up to me in this is when 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 the tea thing happened with Ronan, I noticed that that I was laughing longer than everyone else. And then I was like, I felt ashamed about that. I was like, oh, this is not as funny as I think it is. And then I had to like try and stop myself because I was ashamed that I was laughing too much. So yeah, those are the things that popped up for me.
Yeah, I love that. And that's why, again, I think there's a minor recognition of like, yeah, this is called the shame and social anxiety month. Like, though you can draw like distinctions between them, I think they still share a very common ancestor, you might call it. Yeah, Ronan.
Yeah, so what you were saying, Eric, is something I kind of question, and I have like two theories on shame. One is that it's like, yeah, I don't deserve to be here, like everyone else, that kind of thing. Am I still here? Everyone's glitching. Do I deserve to be here? But yeah, like everyone else is in on something that I'm not. But then I think sometimes that, like, I've often had this apprehension that shame is something more fundamental than that, and it's just the fact of being seen. It's like the realization of separation. It's like, oh fuck, I'm not these people, and at this moment I've chosen to stick my head above the herd. And it's like that blunt fact of like the separateness of individual consciousness or whatever, which is terrifying and lonely and blah blah blah, and like deep, like the kind of the deepest thing you can get from deepest fear or deepest sensation of being a single self. Yeah, I like this. Like in philosophy, you've got like the skeptical argument, like the Matrix. So why aren't we all in the Matrix? How do you know? And normally the arguments are quite technical, and Sartre's got a really good one, which is like, we know we're not in the Matrix because of shame. Like it proves to me on a body level that like I am seen by others and it's real. It's like, you can be like, well, that's also just another part of the computer simulation. But anyway, I like what he's getting at, because it's like the blunt fact of,
Yeah, I got some comments on that after. Yeah, Chloe.
Oh, if you want to comment on Rowan's, go ahead, because my thought had nothing to do with that at all. Want to keep the chain going? No more.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah,
Okay. Hold on. I need to remember what I was talking about now, because that got me thinking about how, like, yeah, shame manifests itself in like two kind of opposite ways. Like, it's either the like, oh, too much or too little. Like, it's what I call like trying to find the Goldilocks zone of confidence. So like, I'm not too much, I'm not too little, just enough. And yeah, it always seems to come off one way or the other. Especially for me, it's like, oh, I don't want to be too much, and I'm sure that I'm too awesome. But then other days, it's like, oh, I'm a piece of shit, I'm not good enough. And there's somehow, it's like so hard to balance. So she's like, no, I am. I just am. That's it. And yeah, there's like this constant. I think those are both related to shame. It's like the two kind of opposite sides of it, right? I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not as good as everyone else. And then but I feel like I'm doing this other thing that no one else is doing. And I don't know, like reconciling, I guess, just being at peace with the things as they are is the way to get over shame. Easier said than done. I don't have it all figured out. That's just my running theory on it. Because I feel both of those all the time. The other, what's my other thought? Got it. Okay. I've mentioned this book like every week for the past couple of weeks too. I'm gonna keep doing it because it's so fucking good. This book, The Courage to Be Disliked, you guys. Oh my God. It has a lot of really good concepts that I've been kind of just playing within my brain lately. But one of the ones that I was thinking about today especially hearing the people who I guess are were more felt more concerned about how they were well, all of us, like how we were perceived by each other, right? And for some of us that was very physical, for some of us it was like the overthinking, like over analyzing. And so another just beautiful point that this book makes is how like you are not responsible for other people's reactions to you. You're not. Like I was thinking about what Ronan said earlier about asking his literal family for donations and how their negative reaction, like, you know, kind of triggered this whole shame thing. It's like, yeah, that happens to all of us, but also like not responsible for how they react. And that brings me in two places. One is like, if you feel that your intentions are pure, like you're acting because you care, because you love, because you want people to be happy, right? Then that's all that matters. If you're asking for a donation because you want people to donate something important, like great, done. And if that's taken badly, like not your responsibility. Super hard for like people pleasing too. Again, like trying to cater our responses to be just the right amount of awesome and not too much awesome. It's like, wow, yeah, it's like damn near impossible to separate the fact that like, yeah, I'm not responsible for how people react to me. This is what I want to share. This is what comes up to my mind, and like do with it what you will. Again, easier said than done, but those are some thoughts I was thinking of. Just the fact that, yeah, the whole, almost the entire base reason why social anxiety exists is because we are overly concerned with the responses of other people when we should, or we could just be more concerned with, am I doing my best? Like, am I acting out of love? If I am, then like, okay, nothing else matters.
And we're working slowly but surely towards the day we start getting Chloe rants. We're getting there, come far in a few months. Yeah. Jay Scott, what you got?
My speaking point is like way back to the original question about like basically imposter syndrome and feeling like you don't belong wherever. And I very frequently find myself in spaces such as this where I am surrounded by people that I think are like so incredible and so like good at articulating their thoughts. And just like you guys are all just really fucking awesome. But yeah, in this space, in like the high existence team, I hear people speaking and I'm like, you're so smart, like you're so good at like expressing yourself. And I'm like, am I like, do I belong here? Am I like good enough at that? Like, am I on the same level? And like I know like it's all kind of in my head, but I feel like I see the same thing with people that are really successful and they're like, oh, like all I had to do was just like keep showing up and keep doing the work. And you're like, no, like there has to be something more about you, something more special about you that like helped you get to where you are. And it's like, no, you just show up and you just do you and like believe in yourself that you're good enough because you're there. So obviously you are. So like, you know, I'm in this space. Obviously, if I'm already here, I'm already good enough. I already belong. Just got to keep showing up. And like, that's what everyone else is doing. We're all just doing our best.
Yeah, and this can be a difficult one to kind of wrestle with sometimes, but I mean, actually, I think it was Chloe and Sarah in their shares earlier today of like, actually, one of the things I'm awesome at is recognizing the places that I'm not awesome. Like, that's actually, there's something really good to that because there is something of like really hard to uncouple this, but you like not being good at something can be true. Like you can actually be shit at a lot of things. It's just does not equate to the person, the entity, the story known as me is shit. It's just, no, I'm just bad at this thing. And because I'm dope human, I have the capacity to develop that if I want to. But yeah, decoupling the like I'm bad at X and just I am bad is sneaky, but I mean, on one hand, true and a worthy endeavor. Like, yeah, it's just not a reflection of you, but it's also not like you're just not the shit at everything, at least yet. You can be if you want. That's also the reframing of like jealousy and envy that I really like. It's not that the person is better nor special. They're actually just highlighting to you a capacity you could develop in yourself. And it's like, yo, instead of just shrinking away, go fucking ask them how they do it. And like, yeah, get tips. It's great. Yeah, there are two quick things I wanted to touch on. I'm also tracking time here. There were a few people, I think some people actually, yeah, Sam, let's go with you first.
Yeah, cool. Leave the time. I've been wanting to say at least something before we close off. Yeah, for me it's the talking is difficult. I just have so much inhibition. That's like everything my mind comes up with is just not good enough. It's not I'm trying to figure it out. Like I think I really liked, I was like the honest sharing, and then the like ultra speaking course I did. There's like certain games, things you play, you're allowed to like, say stupid things. It's like allowed, it's like even encouraged, and then I can like play the game. And often I don't know, I feel like often this in the high existence sessions, I have not been able to make the step into feeling free speaking. I don't know. Just thinking about it, I see off my mind just like, okay, kind of like fawning responses, and I judge it so harshly. Often it's like I just feel so much shame around sharing them, because often when I'm saying them, I was like, what was that? What did I just say? It was just like wanting this or that, and just it's so difficult to be okay with it. But I think just being okay with, okay, that was that, that's fine. Just keep going. I'm opening up, and then I have my phases where completely closing up again, closing down again, feeling like, oh no, this was not good. I have to not do that. And then, but the step into it again is just again fresh, again allowing it things to say. It's like it's all right.
Yeah, there's so many good things here. The first, I mean, I just agreed with Ronan's. It's like it's the same thing as when you just like constrict and you think that everyone else is calm because they're not moving because they're in panic lockup as well. Or it's like, oh yeah, everyone else says way more fucking interesting things than I do. It's like, well, no, actually everything you share is interesting too. It's just that's your own story that you don't think it is. Letting yourself be human is a hard one in conversation. Like the need to fill space, or the felt need to like fill space. Always say something interesting, not have pauses. It creates a whole lot of shit, actually. What else here? Yeah, there are two things I wanted to point to here. Not everyone did this, but there were a few times it happened where people were really excited when I said that they could stop. Like really fucking like, oh, okay, mid-sentence, fuck this, I'm done. Like, great, did the thing. Like Gucci can stop. There's something there's something big, I think, worthy of exploring there. And it actually relates to the like, at what point will you become worthy to be yourself, basically? Because there's something like the feeling that I have, and I mean, I do it too. Like, oh God, I hit 2 minutes. Great, cool, I can stop. There's this relief of like, okay, I did the thing. Like I proved my point. I got there. There's this feeling of like wanting to get somewhere. And this is almost one of the best, like deeper explorations you can do, is just like, what are you actually like waiting to get to? Like, what is that fucking endpoint that so much of like the self-work, like, yeah, if I keep doing this, there'll come a day when, like, man, it is really powerful to sit with a journal or like record a video of you talking to your computer by yourself of like, what specifically is the end of the road? Like, what specifically is the end of the road? That's a really big one. Because I mean, with stuff like the confidence or yeah, feeling proud of yourself or feeling worthy, like I have both spoken to and certainly listened to far more conversations of people that I consider like super high level. People have been extremely impressed with me, and or I have been extremely impressed with. And like, just as much as anyone would look up to them, they are just doing the same fucking thing of looking up. Like, I have heard from multiple, I don't know, successful male figures older than me, multiple, which has really formed my, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but has really formed my opinion on this, which is like, there's I've heard multiple people compare themselves to the fact that like Alexander the Great conquered like half the world by the time that he was 26. And it was like, yo, bro, all the people that you think are doing so fucking well are busy comparing themselves to motherfuckers from way long past. Like, oh, I still haven't done enough yet. I still haven't done enough yet. It's just like, it just does not go away because it's fueled. It's this very core piece of like, what specifically are you fucking going towards? I think Chloe pointed to this earlier in the conversation too, of like, yo, the anxiety is probably going to be there forever. Yes, you can get a different level of like kind of mastery or relationship with it. I would actually also make the argument that I don't think you want anxiety to go away because it shows you actually give a shit about something. Like, you actually care about this thing enough to be anxious about it. And when you're in the anxiety, that's probably not the nicest thing to hear, but when you're in just deep levels of gray apathy, it's kind of nice to be anxious about shit. Like, I don't know, some people more than others, I think, have had waves of apathetic or like numbness. They can be both life level, or if you're ever on medications, you've ever actually experienced the like deep numbness that some medications can give you. Like, actually being anxious is kind of cool. Like, it's preferable, I think, in some ways to a feeling of just nothingness. Yeah, two last points. I recognize we're over on time too. I want to reinvoke the story I shared of fainting on Thursday, because there's another part to the story that I think is really true generally, which is the only thing anyone around me did was try to help. That was the only response from people. I'm sure there were like some people further away who found it kind of annoying that they heard a bump or something, right? Like, yeah, but like, I mean, when I came back to like this, like a fucking opera was like underway, and all these motherfuckers are like having flashlights on me and speaking louder, and I was like, oh my God, like, just leave me the fuck alone. I'm gonna go sit on the staircase. Like, I don't want to be here. But literally, again, the only response from any other human was, yo, are you okay? Like, can I help you? And I think that's a huge part of just like, yo, everyone is going through the same bullshit. Like, everyone's just trying to help and not fuck things up too much. And it's like, I feel like so much of our stances towards ourselves or shame or anxiety is fueled by like the one other person who's having a shit day and decided to be an asshole like 10 years ago. Like, bro, most people don't think you're that much of a fuck up. Most people actually, if you can take stock of this call, are like, wow, they're saying such interesting things and they're so calm, and I'm the fucking weird one here. And it's just like, yo, bro, everyone is going through the same thing. I think that invites a level of self-compassion that can be really helpful. And yeah, there's stuff you see in others where it's like, damn, that'd be really fucking cool to do. Like, bro, go ask them. Because most of the time, if they've cultivated something, it's probably from a very visceral experience of not having it or being in the same place and wanting to change it. I want to kind of give some homework. I think homework is largely up to everyone here, right? There have been a few suggestions on this recording of like, yeah, you could go journal about this. The two that I would invite, they're actually kind of the same thing, which is basically like, yo, you gotta like deprogram this feeling from your body, because even if you can tell yourself the story conceptually, there's still that very visceral bodily response of like, oh shit is not okay right now, and there's the clenching that comes from it. So I guess two potential exercises you could do. If you want to do both, do both. The first is, this is really powerful almost for any emotion, but it's, yeah, I guess regarding shame and social anxiety, I would invite people to take a couple minutes with a journal to actually sit back and be like, when is the first time I remember feeling this? Like, how far back in my life can I go to like the origins of when I felt socially anxious? Or like shame. When was the earliest time in my life I can remember feeling deeply ashamed? Both because, I mean, you can kind of mentor your younger self and resolve whatever those specific experiences are, but you're like lessening the karmic load of like, okay, like this is all good. It doesn't have to be a formative part of my personality anymore. So yeah, writing through just earliest memories you have of some of those feelings can be extremely powerful. The second kind of challenge homework thing that people could do is like Jesse said, like there is an element of this of just, you need to just show up enough to reprogram your body's response. Where it's like, this actually isn't dangerous, bro. Like shit is okay. The way I would invite people to do that is, I would love to hear another kind of 2-3 minute share from folks. It could be the same. You could do another round of like what you actually like most about you. I think to keep it fresh, something like, what is something deeply, deeply interesting or exciting to you right now would be a really good one. And yeah, if you want to do the I think if you really want to go, you could record a video and share it in Telegram. I think the happy medium is voice notes. Voice notes are very good at riling you up, because you feel like you're kind of insane talking to yourself, and then it mixes in with all these other people are going to listen to it. So yeah, the individual journaling exercise of earliest times you remember any challenging emotions, and the kind of continued practice of, yeah, just how comfortable can you get talking about things that you care about? Again, after having an invitation to do so, and it being in the group of people who are literally here to fucking celebrate you and do this stuff together. Those would be my two offerings. Anyone have final comments they want to make on any of this before we disperse?
At the risk of speaking way too much, my final note is that like this stuff, it really does just come from repetition and repetition and repetition, like repeated exposure to uncomfortable situations. The shying away from the discomfort is where you do yourself the least service. So yeah, just again, coming from having passed the spectrum of painfully, like cripplingly shy, to where I am now, and I feel like I'm pretty comfortable in social situations. It's just repetition. Just do the homework exercises, repeat them, send as many voice notes as you can to people, talk to strangers, like just small iterations of social discomfort until eventually after a lot of time, after a lot of practice, you'll realize one day, like, oh, yeah, I'm doing okay at this. So I just kind of wanted to add at the end. It really is just little bitty, teeny tiny ways of practicing over and over. Be kind to yourself.
Awesome. Awesome. So cool. We have homework. We have feelings in our bodies, and we have our session again. Yeah, next week. So yeah, I think there's only one. I think there's only one move left, which is unmute, say I love you, and we will wrap it up from there.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Guys,
Much
See you next
love.
week.
Mwah.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Take care,
Bye.
everybody.